The narrative of Unrivaled, the women's 3-on-3 basketball league launched with fanfare as a revolutionary alternative to the WNBA offseason grind, is undergoing a brutal and public rewrite. What began as a story of empowerment, innovation, and lucrative player investment is rapidly morphing into a cautionary tale of market miscalculation, evaporating audience, and corporate panic. The latest chapters aren't just concerning, they are catastrophic. The league isn't merely struggling to find its footing in a challenging sports landscape, it is, to borrow the vividly bleak metaphor of its own financial backer, pouring gasoline on tens of millions of dollars and striking a match. The smoke is now visible for everyone to see, and the heat is becoming unbearable for those who stake their capital and reputations on this flame. The most alarming signal flare came not from a skeptical blogger, but from the very pinnacle of the league's financial infrastructure. Luis Silberwasser, the chairman and CEO of TNT Sports, a network that just months ago invested a reported $30 million into Unrivaled's media rights, is reportedly already looking for an exit. Let that sink in. Before the league has even completed its second season, the executive who controls the purse strings for its primary broadcast partner is allegedly seeking escape routes. This isn't the action of a patient investor playing the long game, the preferred phrase of startup founders. This is the cold, calculated move of a media veteran who sees a sinking ship and is scrambling for a lifeboat. When Silberwasser compares the investment to setting money on fire, he's not engaging in clickbait hyperbole. He's giving a frank, devastating damage assessment from the captain's quarters. This is full panic mode, and the viewership numbers provide the unequivocal justification for that panic. The data, as laid out by reports from front office sports and echoed by commentators, isn't just bad. It's a chart of precipitous decline, suggesting a fundamental disconnect with the audience. The league's second season opened with an average of 175,000 viewers across TNT and True TV, a figure that, while modest, could be framed as a foundation. But that foundation immediately proved to be made of sand. Games airing solely on True TV plummeted to a paltry 32,000 viewers. By early January, the combined network average had fallen to 139,000. Weekend games dipped to 71,000. These figures represent a collapse of approximately 40% from the league's first season average of 221,000 viewers. In the life cycle of a sports league, Year 2 is typically a period for consolidation and growth, building on initial curiosity. For Unrivaled, it has been a period of hemorrhaging nearly half its audience. A sophomore slump is a slight dip. A 40% decline is a death spiral. The grotesque nadir of this trend was a primetime broadcast featuring the league's two brightest stars, Paige Bueckers and Brink, playing on the same team. This should have been a marquee event, a showcase of the elite talent Unrivaled promised to deliver. Instead, it topped out at 32,000 live viewers. The context for that number is what transforms it from a poor rating into an existential crisis. Individual YouTube creators, podcasters, and gamers regularly host live streams that attract larger concurrent audiences. As the commentator starkly notes, he himself has videos that garner more views. A professionally produced sports league with a national television deal and a $30 million war chest is being outdrawn by solo content creators in their home offices. This isn't just an underperformance. It's a humiliation that calls into question the very premise of the product. This catastrophic viewership takes on an even darker irony when viewed through the lens of TNT Sports' recent corporate history. This is the same network that, during its fraught NBA media rights negotiations, made the conscious, cold-blooded business decision to disband Inside the NBA, arguably the most culturally significant and critically acclaimed sports studio show in television history. The show, anchored by Ernie Johnson and featuring Hall of Famers Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, and Kenny Smith, was a ratings juggernaut and an Emmy-winning institution. TNT, under Silberwasser's leadership, was willing to let that iconic, profitable, and beloved franchise walk away. This decision provides the crucial frame for understanding the current Unrivaled crisis. If the CEO was willing to sever ties with a proven, decades-old success story for business reasons, what possible allegiance could he have to an unproven, money-losing league pulling viewer numbers that wouldn't fill a mid-major college arena? The contrast is devastating. It reveals a corporate priority starkly centered on ROI, not sentiment. And Unrivaled's ROI, based on these ratings, is catastrophically negative. The league's leadership, facing this tsunami of bad news, has responded with the platitudes typical of a startup in denial. Alex Bazell, the CEO and husband of co-founder Nafisa Collier, offered Front Office Sports the standard corporate playbook. We're building Unrivaled for the long game, and we're confident in our outlook. Leagues aren't built overnight. While the final sentence is an indisputable truth, it rings hollow against the immediate financial reality. Networks like TNT are not in the business of playing a long game that incurs 8-figure losses on programming nobody watches. Their game is quarterly earnings, advertiser satisfaction, and shareholder returns. Bazell's statement ignores the pressing urgency. The entity funding his long game is actively looking for the exit door. Furthermore, he fails to address the looming competitive threat of Project B, another women's basketball initiative, reportedly scheduled in similar time slots. When you've lost 40% of your audience, the arrival of a competitor vying for the same niche demographic isn't a challenge, it's a potential coup de grace. To understand how Unrivaled arrived at this precipice, one must examine its original brand proposition. In its inaugural season, the league positioned itself not just as a new option, but as the anti-WNBA. Its messaging implicitly and explicitly criticized the established league. We pay better. We treat players better. We offer better accommodations. We provide equity stakes. They leveraged the name of collegiate phenom Caitlin Clark for promotion until she publicly asked them to stop. This contrarian stance was brilliant marketing in the short term. It generated buzz, framed the league as a righteous disruptor, and successfully painted the WNBA as a flawed incumbent. It created enough curiosity to drive a sold-out crowd of 870 to their first game and a respectable 312,000 viewers to the opening night broadcast. The salaries were indeed competitive. The player equity was a genuine innovation, and the format, fast-paced 3-on-3, was novel. But herein lay the fatal flaw in Unrivaled strategy. You can build a brand on opposition, but you cannot build a sustainable sports league on it alone. Eventually, the novelty wears off. The sparkle, as Front Office Sports termed it, fades. At that point, the product must stand on its own intrinsic merits. It must be compelling, dramatic, and meaningful enough for viewers to return week after week, absent the initial narrative of rebellion. The catastrophic viewership numbers in year 2 suggest that, for the vast majority of that initial audience, the core product failed this test. Once people saw what a regular season of 3-on-3 women's basketball in a Miami warehouse looked like, they decided it wasn't worth their time. This speaks to a fundamental miscalculation about the sports market. Unrivaled operated on the assumption that demand for women's basketball is monolithic and constant, that because people watch the WNBA in the summer, they will naturally crave more women's basketball in the winter. This assumption confuses appetite for a specific, top-tier product with a generic hunger for the sport. The WNBA succeeds because it has stakes. It is the highest level of competition, championships, MVP races, playoff pushes, and legacy-defining moments matter. Viewers are emotionally invested in narratives that feel historically significant. Caitlin Clark chasing the scoring record or Aja Wilson battling for another MVP are events with weight. Unrivaled, by its very structure, lacks these stakes. It exists outside the traditional basketball ecosystem. Who wins the Unrivaled championship? What does it mean? There is no connection to a broader history, no pathway to a world stage, no tangible consequence beyond the league itself. It is, in essence, a very well-paid exhibition series. Players getting excellent compensation is a wonderful outcome for the athletes, but it is not a reason for fans to tune in. Fans watch for emotional investment in outcomes, not for the satisfaction of seeing a healthy balance sheet. Unrivaled has not been able to manufacture that crucial emotional investment. The product, despite featuring elite athletes, feels inconsequential. The potential consequences of this failure are multi-layered and severe. Financially, if TNT walks away, Unrivaled's business model evaporates. The league cannot sustain its reported player salaries, which were a key selling point, and operational costs on ticket revenue from 870-seat venues alone. It would be forced to seek a streaming-only existence, drastically reducing its visibility, advertising revenue, and cultural footprint. For the investors who were sold on a visionary long-term play, their equity stakes could become worthless within a matter of years. The comparison to a bonfire is tragically apt. $30 million from TNT, plus millions more from other backers, is being consumed with little to show but smoke and ash. For the players, the situation is personally and professionally fraught. They were sold a dream. Stay stateside, earn great money, own a piece of the league, and help build something transformative. Figures like Collier and Brianna Stewart, the league's co-founders, clearly believed in this vision deeply and authentically. But belief doesn't pay the bills when broadcast revenue dries up. Players who turned down lucrative overseas contracts to bet on Unrivaled now face the prospect of the league collapsing beneath them. This isn't just a business failure. It feels like a betrayal of the trust these athletes placed in the project's viability. The league now stands at a desperate crossroads. The path forward is shrouded in fog. A dramatic, overnight reversal of viewership trends seems fantastical. A partnership with the WNBA, which Bueckers has reportedly floated, would be an admission that the anti-WNBA positioning was a strategic error and would likely require a complete operational overhaul. Scaling back salaries or operations would break faith with the player-centric promise that defined the league. Every potential solution represents a retreat from the original, ambitious vision. The ultimate, haunting question that Silberwasser, the investors, and the players must now confront is this: was Unrivaled ever truly viable? Was it built on a foundation of genuine, scalable demand, or was it a well-intentioned vanity project propelled by noble ideals but flawed market research? The evidence of 32,000 viewers for a Bueckers Brink showcase strongly suggests the latter. That number isn't a marketing fail, it's a market verdict. You can't fix a product people don't want with better promotion. You can only fix it by having a product they do want. So, we return to the metaphor of the bonfire. Luis Silberwasser, the man holding the empty gasoline can, now faces the quintessential executive decision. Does he pour more resources onto the flames, hoping for a miraculous shift in the wind, or does he call the fire department and accept the total loss of his initial investment to save what remains? Given his willingness to part with inside the NBA, the answer seems preordained. The only remaining suspense is the timing of the announcement. For Unrivaled, the long game may be cut brutally short, leaving behind a stark lesson in the unforgiving economics of sports entertainment, where vision, no matter how pure, is ultimately fuel for the relentless engine of audience demand. And right now, for Unrivaled, that engine has ground to a halt.